The moment itself was strangely ordinary. Paper plates bending under too much potato salad. Kids running between folding chairs. My father sweating through a polo shirt he'd worn to every reunion for the last decade. He put his arm around me when a distant cousin asked how I was doing. The gesture looked affectionate from a distance. It always did. This one, he said, squeezing my shoulder, was the mistake we kept. But hey, at least he turned out okay. There was a beat. Then laughter. Not explosive. Not cruel. Just the uncomfortable, reflexive kind people use when they don't want to challenge the host. Someone clapped me on the back. I smiled. I even dipped my head slightly like I was in on it. I'd heard variations of that line my whole life. Surprise pregnancy. Bad timing. Almost didn't happen. Family legend material. It was always framed as humor, as honesty, as humility. But that day something in me didn't sting. It settled. Like confirmation. I left about 20 minutes later. No announcement. I told my aunt I had an early morning. I hugged my mother. I nodded at my father. He didn't notice anything. The drive home was quiet. I didn't cry. I didn't rehearse comebacks. I didn't feel dramatic. I felt finished. Over the next week I blocked numbers. One by one, not in anger, in sequence. Cousins, uncles, my sister, my parents last. I deleted my social media accounts instead of just deactivating them. Changed email addresses. Forwarded mail to a P.O. box. Then I applied for jobs in cities I had no emotional history with. People think disappearing is impulsive. It isn't. It's paperwork, it's leases, it's transferring medical records and closing joint warehouse memberships. It's quiet logistics. 3 months later, I was standing in a studio apartment 2,000 miles away, staring at beige walls that had never heard a joke about my existence. The loneliness was sharp at first. But it was clean. No one introduced me as anything other than my name. At work, when colleagues asked about my family, I said, "They're back east." That was enough. No one needed the mythology. The first holiday season was the hardest. My hand hovered over my phone more than once. But every time I imagined going back, I pictured that arm around my shoulders, the laughter that followed. I wasn't angry at them. I was tired of being narrated. Back home, I later learned, they told people I was going through something, that I needed space, that I'd always been sensitive. My father apparently repeated the joke a few more times in my absence. It's easier to maintain a script when the character isn't there to object. Months turned into a year. Then 2. Then one afternoon, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello. Is this Daniel Mercer?" The voice was neutral, professional. "Wes, my name is Thomas Reed. I'm a licensed private investigator contracted by members of your immediate family. They've requested a welfare check and confirmation of your location." For a second, I thought it was a prank. "I'm fine," I said carefully. "I understand. I need to verify that directly. Are you currently employed and residing at this address?" He read my street name. My stomach tightened, not in fear but in realization. They hadn't found me themselves. They'd hired someone. "Yes," I said. "I'm safe. I'm employed. I left intentionally." There was a pause, papers shifting on his end. "They've expressed concern that you disappeared without explanation." I let that sentence sit between us. "I didn't disappear," I said. "I left." Another pause. "As an adult," he replied evenly, "you are not required to disclose your location or maintain contact. If you wish, I can inform them that you are safe and do not want further communication." The clarity of it, the procedural calm, felt grounding, an authority outside the family narrative acknowledging something simple. I was allowed. "Yes," I said. "Please tell them I'm safe. But do not share my address or number." "Understood." The call lasted less than 7 minutes. When it ended, I sat on my couch for a long time. They had escalated from jokes to hiring a professional. Not because they missed me, necessarily, but because I had stepped outside the role. Over the next few weeks, messages filtered through extended relatives whose numbers I hadn't blocked. Emails from addresses I didn't recognize. "Your father is worried. This is extreme. We deserve an explanation. One message from my mother simply said, "We didn't know it hurt you that much." I stared at that line the longest. The truth was complicated. It wasn't one joke. It was years of being the anecdote, the punchline, the almost. 2 years of distance had given me something I hadn't expected, not confidence, not triumph. Perspective. I drafted an email, short, controlled. "I'm safe. I left because I needed to build a life where I wasn't reduced to a family story. I'm not angry. I just need distance." I didn't apologize. I didn't accuse. I pressed send. No dramatic reconciliation followed. No tearful calls. My father never acknowledged the reunion comment directly, but the tone shifted. When my mother writes now, she uses my name without qualifiers. My father doesn't attempt humor in his brief emails. They're stiff, careful. I don't know if we'll ever sit at the same folding tables again. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. What I do know is this: I didn't disappear. I removed myself from a narrative that didn't fit. And for the first time in my life, the introduction belongs to me.